All right. Good morning, afternoon, evening, night, depending on where you find yourself in the globe. This is Kingdom Economic Forum, a forum that has been established to educate, give solutions to problems that are confronting us in partnership with the New African Concept. And we've told you the New African Concept is celebrating its 5th anniversary. And there are so many activities that is ongoing. Doug is here. Maybe he will just give us a brief of what is going on before we continue. Doug.
Yes, so I'm sure as you can see, the notification is still around with our flyers and then also the link. And we are calling in for several volunteers in various capacities. Whatever grace you have, gift you have, idea you have, I can assure you that there is a space within what we are building to accommodate you. Gradually, our scope is expanding and we need so many hands. And this is one of the places you can also commit your skills, your knowledge, and your commitment. Together, we would want to build our nation, Ghana, and then even by extension, Africa. So for this month of August, that is our main idea. The dates will be communicated when we'll be having the training for the Kumasi team and that of the Accra team as well. All others will also be unfolding as we keep meeting.
Maybe on behalf of Kingdom Economic Forum, we also want to wish you, so next week is your birthday.
Yes.
So we are wishing you happy birthday in advance because you have it before we meet again.
The next one. Yeah,
the next one. So
thank you.
Wish you God
so
to grant you divine insight and understanding.
Amen.
And then whatever purpose God has for you, the grace will abound. All the required resources will be made available for you to be able to achieve that. All right. On our series, looking at Ghana Wellbeing Index, we've told you our mantra is that what gets measured gets managed. And what gets managed determines our value or reflects what we value. We are looking at 9 domains that GDP doesn't measure. Last week was the 4th one. We gave an introduction on the environment. In fact, if you were with us, you realize that we decided to give some intro. What constitutes environment? And we said that in our constitution, as far as Ghana is concerned, there is no, in the 1992 constitution, did not define what environment is. However, it plays a duty on every citizen that we should protect and safeguard the environment, Article 41K. And the tax, and then also tax the state with safeguarding the national environment for posterity, for the years ahead. The environment that we are having now, we have to leave it in a better position for the next generation. We are not supposed to destroy the environment because we are not the last individual have to live on this planet Earth. We are not supposed to destroy it. And we said that they have introduced another Environmental Protection Act 2025, which is Act 1124. And we said, Doug took us through the component. He gave us 2, maybe Doug come in, 2 components. We mentioned about the physical component and then the socioeconomic, human and socioeconomic dimension of the environment. So the physical, you mentioned about the air.
You made mention of the air, the
water,
land, and then the water.
Good. And then the ecological system. Yeah, that is the trees, forests, wildlife, okay.
The biodiversity and co. So all these form the physical components of the environment.
And then interestingly, I think last we said it, the economic growth. For you to be able to get the growth, you need this physical environment to produce the growth. Without this physical environment, you cannot do any meaningful activity because you need air. Without the air, all of us will die. You need water. We need the land. So all the development we are doing constitute these 3 critical elements. However, you made a mention that there's a difference between economic growth and economic development. So you can have economic growth, good high GDP, gross national whatever income will be going up, but it might not reflect economic development in the sense that it might bring some consequences. When there is no well-being, health and personal safety, habits and cultural heritage or custom, whatever that, if it's not also creating legitimate means of livelihood, then that economic growth will become a negative economic development. So we spend a lot of time on it trying to let environmental protection authority know that the work that has been given to them is huge. I think one thing that became clear in our discussion was that we haven't been educated enough on the environment. So we advocated that EPA.
There's a huge gap in that area.
Yeah. Instead of the Ministry of Education trying to introduce Arabic and Chinese, they should introduce this. I know they have, interestingly, the environmental thing that the children do, it is on the surface. We just teach them, but we should make it so practical, inculcate these ideas in the minds of our children, so that if the children are aware of their environment, they will not allow anybody to destroy the environment. So even though I've seen bits and pieces in the curriculum that they are learning, but it's just at the theoretical level. We want EPA and NCCE to collaborate and have local level environmental engagement, not only when there's a project, but before project, they should do that. So, having established that, today we said that we're going to look at why we must measure environmental domain, the environmental domain, why there's a need for us to measure. Doc, I hand over to you.
Yes, so once again, we continue our narrative on the environment. And the summary from what we've gotten so far, I believe even last week's discussion seemed to even touch on some of the why.
Why, sure.
It gives the thought that it is time for us to take the environment seriously.
Sure.
Seriously. Yes, so one of the major elements has to do with the legal mandate and accountability.
Yeah.
The legal mandate and accountability.
Wow.
We've made mention of the Act, which undergirds our discussion, which is the Act 1124, passed this I think last year.
Yeah.
That this Act fundamentally changes the rules of the game. It introduces several new requirements that make measurement non-negotiable.
Yeah.
So now the measurement or the metrics to measure the urgent need to measure the environment is not something which is now an option, looking at how things are going and for several factors. So now some of the things that the Act makes room for, one is a rebuilt regulatory body.
Yeah.
I think we tagged on it last week. That now there is a shift from the agency to the authority. And the authority therefore means that it has a level of autonomy, which has, the more you do, relative to the agency, which was so much dependent. And once again, the authority, that it grants its expanded legal powers and fiscal independence, as I said, to enforce regulations. And we will add our voice to it that these institutions, or institutions like this, and areas like health and education, these are places that should be free from partisan politics. Else, it will just remain on paper.
That's it.
And then we'll have partisan political strings being pulled. So the effort has been made, which I think is appreciable, that there is now a shift from the agency to the authority to grant it a level of autonomy and then also a wider scope of legal authority or powers, that now it can engage or do its work in a particular way. And this, if it is detached from partisan politics, I believe we'll be able to see something very important going on. Again, also, we have that of the Unified Environmental Code. It consolidates the fragmented laws on various things like the pesticides, the e-waste, the coherent, and gives it a framework. So that is also another effort that has been made. That now the laws at first, which were a bit scattered
Silos,
in various facts, yes, have now been pulled together under a comprehensive element that anything that deals with the environment, now we have the EPA or the authority that is able to now have that regulatory oversight over them.
Sure.
And then the measurable penalties. Penalties for violations are now significantly higher.
Yeah.
Fines are no longer operational costs for corporations. Offenses like pollution breaches or illegal waste handling can attract heavy fines and even imprisonment.
Okay.
So I think it also adds up. So all what we are saying that because of all these things, the need for us to take the environment and its modulation very seriously, because efforts are being made towards that light. But once again, these measurable penalties, it also comes to the fact that it must be free from partisan strings. Because when those strings are there, then it will be selective.
Sure.
And then the application of the law, it will be selective justice. And that one will be dead on arrival.
Sure.
And then also there is that touch of professional certification, where that the law now mandates certification and registration of environmental consultants, engineers, and then all those who are involved in it. So you don't just get on board and then do something. It provides for certification to really attest to the fact that you have the knowledge or the skills or the requirements that you have the technical know-how in the area that you are committing to, whether as a consultant or for anything that you want to undertake.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, so this is one aspect of it that, so in summary, there is the shift from the agency to the authority. Has given it that autonomy, that legal power, expanded legal powers, and then it has also given other things like the professional certification, measurable penalties, and then has brought all the scattered laws on environment and its issues within a unified code. So this is also one of the areas that I think that because of these, the highlight on it is very, very important. Now, when you take on you will see that on the global scene, discussions around matters of this climate change.
Climate change,
Climate change has assumed a very strong centerpiece, or even on the global scene, because it is such that a kawa are coming. So when it comes to discussions of the environment, it is something that, because of our activities that we undertake and its effect on the global climate, the attention has now been drawn. So now when research, consultancies, conferences, there is a lot of provisions of resources on the global scene that have been given to that aspect. And one of the constituents happen to be what we normally call the carbon emission, which is the carbon market infrastructure. And this is an area which, as I said, because of its connection with the climate change on the global scene, it has also attracted a lot of attention. Because these carbon elements has a contributing factor to this, what we normally call the ozone layer. And then these carbon elements too has a health implication. So there is a health implication. There is also the ozone layer, which if it is degraded, now a study shows that the emission from the sun, there is a the ozone layer more or less reduces its intensity. The sun is about 93 million kilometers away from the earth. And we are able to feel its intensity. So, but there is a protective layer, which is the ozone layer. So its degradation is going to now have certain elements in the sun, which by nature ought not reach us, also reaching us, which has its consequence with some of the cancers. And then even it affects photosynthesis. It's a whole cycle. So why must we measure matters of environment and take it so judiciously and be very circumspect with it? Because of the carbon emissions, the carbon market, the carbon elements, which also contributes to shaping the global economy, or even the global climate, which also has a role to play massively along those lines. So the Paris Agreement, there is also that international climate compliance. Because if we leave you to do what you are doing, and then these emissions get up there, what is going to happen is that when there is this effect, it is also going to affect all of us. When there is massive deforestation and it is not replaced with afforestation, then what is also going to happen is that the forest elements are going to also become more and more of the desert.
But Doc, my only concern is that unfortunately, in our part of the world, unless we receive donor support, then we realize that these are very important. Meanwhile, it's like the donors or the foreigners care more of our environment than ourselves. So that is those things you have mentioned. You see that when they organize this program in Saudi Arabia, Dubai, it's Cap 30 or whatever.
Yes.
Whatever. You go there, Ghanaians, plenty. We are always interested in meeting some donors' requirement so that we get some money. Than looking at this, that this is for us. Whether we receive any support or not, we are adequately prepared to make sure that we get whatever we are looking for. And that's my worry, because all these things, and it will surprise you to know that even the acts that you've mentioned, Act 1124, was even sponsored by, was the donors that were pushing us, do this. It wasn't a homegrown that we sat down as, we need to do this, but they got some funding here and they push us to do it. What?
I think the reason why, that's why ultimately it is a mindset issue.
The mindset issue.
It's a mindset issue. And this one too, the reason is also because, as I said, it is a climatic issue. And because of it is a climatic issue, if we leave you, let's say Ghana or Africa, to do what you are doing, the rippling effect will also get to them. So that is where there is the donor side. But it is expected that we should have homegrown solutions to these problems, and we should be concerned.
We should be concerned. I'm telling you.
And so it is a fundamental thought pattern, as we made mention with regards to even research. Most of the researches conducted here is still sponsored by them. So even this malaria, I think they've worked out to try and then get malaria, what do you call it? Vaccine. Who should be more interested in malaria vaccine? Because it is not within the temperate zone. It is a tropical disease. Naturally, we should be. When you go to Noguchi, and then most of the things that we run here
are sponsored.
They have a whole university called the University of Tropical Diseases.
We don't have. We need to depend on them.
So they are not having those diseases that don't affect them.
No.
It affects us in the tropical zone or in the tropics. And they have a whole university where they pump money to study these tropical diseases.
And we are sleeping.
You come here.
We are sleeping. We will be studying a temperate disease.
Temperate disease. And then it's a serious thing.
It's a mindset.
It's a serious thing. If we don't shift the mind, and that's why we are so you see that NGOs and then even some of these agencies, authorities, most of the things that we do is to meet the criteria or their demands for sponsorship.
A sponsorship
so
mentality.
that we can align with what they are saying and then get something.
Some money.
And you can be very assured or certain that when it comes, baby.
Oh, the motivation is what is in for me.
Yes, what is in for me. So
the motivation is what is in for me.
If we are asked by the donor institution to, let's say, plant about, let's say, 100,000 trees this year, our focus is you bring the money, we will conduct it. Who said there is no sustainability?
No, they don't care.
But there have been a number of these Green Ghana and a number of projects. 2-3 years down the line,
it's gone.
It's gone
because we didn't contextualize it. It wasn't a homegrown.
Yes,
solution.
and the intention was not that
you're going to do that.
No, it is like, okay, this is what if we do, it will catch the attention of the donors. It's almost maybe $100 million. Okay, let's do.
Let's get assessment. Let's get it. What can we do? We do a work plan and then make sure we buy vehicles, we pay DMs,
we do those
moving
things.
here and there, and then
pictures
report.
And videos now. They send you.
Send
we've
report
done
to
it.
them. Oh, we've
2-3 years down the line, there is nothing to show. And this the deserts. Yeah, the deserts. Many people are not aware, but the Sahel, the upper side of maybe Africa, the desert over there was a point that it was a thick forest. And when I read it, I was very, so more or less like desertification
man-made.
Is man-made. Yes, there is some that comes as part of the natural.
Yeah,
but it grows, and it expands, it comes down, and then our studies are showing that the rate at which it is coming down, and then because of the activities we are undertaking, the projections are that by 2060 it may even reach the middle part of Africa, and then it is coming down. It is coming down.
If you use the middle part of Africa, it's as if it's not close to it. Ghana is
yes, but we are not in the southern part. Yeah, so the central part, which we are in the western side, but is within the middle belt when you take it that way. And with the activities we are doing here, no proper regulation for reclamation of land, and then things like that. The obsession is with greed, get the money, greed, get the money. It's really unfortunate. It's really
very
unfortunate.
much unfortunate.
Yeah. So because of these things, so there is the international community is very interested in this. But as I said, it is also because what we do can have an effect on them. Not that can, it will definitely have an effect on them.
Are you sure?
Is
it not because they've seen business opportunities? We are sleeping. So
yes, so it is part of it. But I want to say COVID-19.
Yeah.
We are, before COVID-19 came, we've had several pressing health-based issues in Ghana. Even in the northern side, these issues of meningitis comes every year, kills a lot of people. But it is said that Sabio Esikafo and so Sika Ebinyao. Now look at our approach as a people during COVID-19. Weekly updates, efforts here. There was that concerted effort.
Yeah.
It is not so much because we care about the people. Because if we care about the people, it would have shown in our usual engagement before the coming of COVID-19. It is rather the fact that this COVID-19 does not segregate on some. So the effort is that let us do something, because and into the effort is that let us do something. That is the same thing with the global. That's why the climate, one of the juiciest places on the global discussions is climate change.
Yeah.
And then the climate is not just about whatever goes into has a way, but at the end of the day, the earth is responding to the stratosphere, hemisphere above. So when there is a system in, let's say, Africa, and then it affects issues of the ozone and then things like that. Because they too, they have the statistics that it was normally referred to as global warming.
Yeah.
That these temperate zones, the meltings, especially from Antarctica. So when they look at the projections, but if it continues, the Antarctica and then those places can now melt, which then will lead to heavy flooding that can even literally terminate their site. Until the obsession, until it's a business in there, and namaste, but the obsession is that yamu amuma nyini year. Omuhuka, yes, we huanka.
And you're not my that.
Yes, we also relax.
We are relaxed.
Because the baby are no, or the mum wire. Wow. Oh, interesting.
So,
interesting.
We are discussing why the need for us to measure environmental domain. The other aspect has to do with foundation for development and policy.
Yeah.
Environmental data is not just for environmentalists. It's a bedrock of sound economic policy.
Very good.
So with that, they are saying that they are developing what we call national capital accounting, natural capital accounting, NCA, with the World Bank. Once again, World Bank is helping Ghana to develop this natural capital. It ties in what we said last week. This system integrates the value of natural resources, that's forests, water, minerals, into the national economic accounts, allowing the government to measure its assets and liabilities and understand how environmental degradation impacts economic growth. So this is a wonderful tool. And I think we need to pay attention to this one tool that they are bringing.
Natural capital accounting.
Natural capital accounting. You said it in past, the Sustainable Development Goals. Environmental data is crucial for tracking progress on the SDGs, including clean water, which is SDG 6, sustainable cities, SDG 11, and climate action, SDG 13. And another reason is a policy coherence. Measuring helps break down the silo structures of government, where different agencies collect data for their specific needs without coordination. So the unified framework helps ensure policy coherence. I think the third point why we should measure is
accountability and public trust. Yeah. So we have the verification of emissions. So we have the Emissions Levy Act imposes a levy on carbon dioxide emissions from various sectors. However, the law allows for self-reporting by companies. Without proper measurement and verification mechanisms, there is a high risk of underreporting to reduce tax liability, which will undermine the levy's environmental and economic goals. Yeah, so we need to measure these things for proper accountability. Because if we are not measuring, then we will not be able to render it accountable. That, okay, because we are measuring this, we know that this is where we were before we place this policy. And then I think that it also helps when it comes to policy shaping and formulation. And that, okay, if these are the metrics, then we can know that these are the interventions we want to bring. And then now we can also now measure post the interventions to monitor that 5 years, 3 years, or 4 years after the interventions, this is what it is also producing. And also public accountability. Public accountability. Think tanks and advocacy groups are calling for transparent implementation of environmental laws, including the publication of company inventories, emissions levels, and reports on revenue allocation. So it is some of these things that we can also as a public hold them responsible, and that the mandate we have given you was to do ABC. So we need some of these data and then metrics very well. I think one of the challenges we normally have when it comes to issues of data and then research is when those metrics is when those metrics, or like should I say the data, is not reliable. It's not reliable. So when you take the average, let's say research that is being done, maybe some of our universities, or most of our universities, let's say first degree, you do your dissertation, now thesis. Now, I remember when we were on campus, those who were doing this questionnaire. So he was expected that some of them are expected to go to the market or go into the field and then collect the data. Only some time no. Into almost a time no area no. Until almost a year class, I be as a lecturer no my not wachicha my. Then we'll be feeling. So maybe if he needs a sample of about 100, something that he should go into the field so that the people who are really doing it, maybe whatever thing he wanted to measure, it is distributed for the classmates. And these are not people who are experts in that field. But the rigor to going to the field, engaging, is not there. So the classmates, it is not read. Yes, no, sometimes. Now we'll put it together, drafts, an analysis. No, they are a thesis. No, they call. In the way say, if a company wants to work on it, or you suit this model, or you suit their work, yeah, so this is another side, the integrity of research. That's what, it was labeled here as. Maybe that possible or potential of underreporting things or over-reporting things, depending on the context, to have a good face or to save your face. And these things, we may think that, then everything is all right, everything is working. But unfortunately, it may not be the case. So the public accountability, once we have very sound elements of database, it also helps us to hold the system accountable.
I've been told that Ghana has joined a framework for measurement called FDES, that is Framework for the Development of Environmental Statistics. This standardized structure guides the collection and compilation of data from various sources, making it comprehensive and relevant for policy analysis. It defines the scope of environment statistics, covering areas like environmental conditions and quality air, environmental conditions and quality, that is air, water, and soil. And then environmental resource and their user, that's the minerals, environmental resource and their use, minerals, energy, and water. And they have what we call residuals, that's the emissions and waste. We have the extreme events and disasters, and then human settlement and environmental health. So the question is, Ghana is moving from a pollution era economy to a climate economy future. Pollution era economy to a climate economy future. Measuring the environment is the primary tool for navigating this transition, ensuring compliance and unlocking new opportunities for sustainable development. So, what we've tried to look at today is why we must measure environmental domain. And I think that, like you always know, Ghana has every law. There's nothing that we don't have on this planet Earth. And per our discussion, we have realized that we are developing what we call natural capital accounting, which I think that we need to follow up and see where they are, because it's going to be wonderful to which sum up all that we have said. If we have these two, natural capital accounting. I
think it bridges the economic growth and economic development we're talking about.
That's the tool.
Yeah, so
this is a tool to do that.
We really have to pursue it.
We need to pursue this. You see it on paper, but when it comes to the implementation, I think that some of us have to pursue it, because this is what's going to bring the economic growth and economic development, bridge that gap.
Yeah.
That's we call the assets and liabilities.
Liabilities.
Wow, I want to, let's, if you are an environmental person, it is important you master this one.
Yeah.
If you are doing accounting, it is important you master this one. If there's any cause for you to do this, that's the future. That's the future.
That's the future.
Wow, wow. So, is there any other thing, Doc, to conclude?
I think it has been summarized. So I think basically, like we've said, what gets measured gets managed, and that is why it is also important that we measure these things. So in our next episodes, we'll be exploring the metrics and then also the relevance of some of these things as we move on. But my final take is that the subject of the environment literally is, it summarizes everything. The economy, we cannot talk of the economy without the environment. Because basically the resources happens to be the land and then the labor and things like that. And all these things, when you put together, we will refer to it as the environment. So let us be very conscious of it. Let us be responsible, individuals and collectively. This fight must be non-partisan. It must focus on how do we take good care of our environment for now and then also for posterity. And I pray that something good will come out of it.
We pray that something good will come out of it. Any person who destroys the environment is an enemy of the state. We have been given, God has given this environment as stewards. And God still will be judging us based on how we are using the environment. I want to add my voice to the fact that those of us who are Christians, if we destroy the environment, we will not have access to heaven. Because we can't take this galamsey mentality to heaven. Some of you go to heaven and then the street of gold. What has been given to us, let's manage it. God, what gets measured gets managed. And thank God for this natural
Capital accounting. NCA.
It's the game changer. And we will do a bit study to find out whether how EPA is actually using it. If we are using it, it will solve the problem, like Prof said, economic growth against economic development. Until we come your way next week, remember that Agenda 50 Books Kingdom Driven series will be launched this month. Prepare to get your copy. Until you come your way next week. Bye-bye.